All right, thank you. Is Monday, October 23rd, 2023, 7:30 p.m. and 7:32. I call this meeting of the Needham Design Review Board to order. I am the board chair, Mark Glusing. I would like to confirm that all members and applicants are present and can be heard. So when I call your name, please respond. Bob is late, so Steve Dornbush.
Here.
Susan Opton.
Here.
And Felix Zemmel.
Here.
The applicants, if you could please respond. 120 Highland Avenue, AJ Rose.
Yes, here, Brian Brinkers, Acme Sign Company.
Uh, 1154 Great Plain Avenue, Congregational Church. Okay. We'll see if they show up along the way. And then we have 32 Wexford Street, the Miola Dental Group.
Yes, here.
I see you, Dr. Miola. Hi.
Hi.
Good evening. Welcome to this open meeting of the Needham Design Review Board, which is being conducted remotely, consistent with state orders. The orders allow public bodies to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. For this meeting, the Needham Design Review Board is convening by Zoom app as posted on the town's website and the Design Review Board page, identifying how the public may join. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. We do have a special permit hearing tonight that we can take public input on. All supporting materials that have been provided to members of this board are available on the town's website. Public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless the chair notes otherwise. Please note that this meeting is being recorded. Accordingly, please be aware that people may be able to see you, and take care not to screen share your computer unless the chair approves. Please remember to mute your phone or computer if you're not speaking. I would like to review the remote meeting procedures for tonight's meeting. I will introduce each applicant on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, the chair will take comments and questions from the DRB members. After discussion, each vote will be by roll call vote. The building department requires electronic submission of building permit applications. A copy of your application, stamped and noted for the type of approval that it receives, will be emailed to you by the DRB support staff. That can then be attached to your building permit application. So we will now start with the first item on the agenda. We have a public notice is hereby given that AJ Rose, to be located at 120 Highland Ave, has made application to the Design Review Board for a special permit pursuant to the general bylaws, section 5.5.3.2, signs maximum size, and any other applicable section of the bylaw. The proposal shows 2 permanent wall signs which exceed the maximum square footage of 32 square feet. So, Brian, why don't you go ahead and present your design and your reasons you want a size that's larger than the size that's allowed by the bylaw.
Yes, sir. Great. Thank you. So again, my name is Brian Brinkers, and I'm the owner of Acme Sign Company in Peabody. We have our customer of many years. AJ Rose is interested, or they probably have already leased the space over at Highland Ave. It'll be just an additional store. I believe there's 4 or 5 others that they have spread around Eastern Massachusetts. The building is sectioned off into 4 different retail spaces, and the interior of these spaces has got high ceilings, which AJ Rose loves because they can inventory their materials and racks, and so they have the high ceilings. What that does is it makes the outside of the building large enough so that there can be some substantial signage to fit in there without it really looking too crazy. So what we've done is we took a look at the front of the building. We call the front entrance the Highland Ave entrance. And then the rear entrance would be the parking lot in the back. The way that this building is situated on Highland Ave, most of the people are going to enter from the rear. That's where the parking is. The front of the building is essentially just, people driving by, they can see, they say, okay, we're here at the Needham Gateway Shops, and this is where AJ Rose is, among the other storefronts that are there. So initially, when we were proposing signage, the folks at AJ Rose says, well, what we wanted to do is have our branding, AJ Rose, of course, with the red rose flower. And then the words carpets and flooring spread out the full length of the AJ Rose. Let's talk about the front entrance first. So it would be the full length of the 205 inches. That was bringing our square footage well above the 15% of the wall area. So in discussion with the woman who runs the design review committee, and along with the building inspector, we felt that it would be a good idea to reduce this substantially. So that's how we got reducing down the words carpets and flooring, and instead of having them individual letters, we were here proposing that they be done on what we call a pill. It's essentially one rectangular, it has rounded edges, but it's rectangular capsule with the lettering carpets and flooring on it. So that in itself has reduced down the square footage substantially for each of the front and the rear elevations. And part of the whole reason is to be able to get that down to within or less than the section 5532 sort of points out that it should be less than the 15% of the wall area. So we were able to reduce it down to 15% or less in each case, the front and the rear. And the drawings that we have proposed here show all the specific lengths of and the heights of the wall area. And I might point out also that the drawings are proportionate. So in other words, we've done the computer rendering so that the finished product will look exactly like we're proposing here. It's not, we didn't put it in smaller to make it look better. It's exactly the way that it would look in as a finished product. So each of the drawings shows the layout and also cross-section of the typical illuminated channel letter, which are very popular. I'm sure everybody's seen them everywhere. There's nothing unusual about this other than the fact that during the daytime, the AJ Rose lettering appears black when non-illuminated. And it's done with a sort of a specialty type of plastic that allows light to go through the black, so it would illuminate as white at night. So it's kind of a neat situation. We've used it with great success in the past in other locations. And it just allows good contrast against the light color background. Then thirdly, the Needham Gateway Shops have an existing freestanding sign on the entryway to the back parking lot, and there's one space that's meant to be used by the occupant of that retail location. And page 3 shows the proposed vinyl graphics. So essentially what we're going to do is the panel is already in place. We were just gonna cut some vinyl letters and put it on there. Just to say AJ Rose. It's real small. It probably doesn't do an awful lot there, but so that's the page 3. And any questions?
Yeah, the compound sign, the last one you were talking about, that is an allowed use. We'll have a little discussion about that. We want to make sure, confirm the background color and a couple other items there.
Sure.
The special permit need is because of the size of the other two. I will inform the board that you recently, at your last meeting, which I was not I did not attend, you reviewed a sign adjacent to on the other side of the Geico sign. And
Yes.
I also looked at the records on file. All the other signs comply with the size requirement of 32 square feet. So this is the first applicant to ask for something larger. And while the percentage that he listed is a part of the bylaw, if you read he reproduced the bylaw on the sign detail, for instance, page 2. While there's a percentage available and 2 square feet for every linear foot, the last section of that bylaw says up to a maximum of 32 square feet, which is what has put them before us for a special permit tonight. I did see this earlier when he was discussing, he sent it in to Elisa, our staff person, and she sent it to me, and I asked Mr. Brinkers to submit a version that met the requirements so we could look at it, and he stated the client didn't like it very much. I said, well, that's the compliant sign is something we can pass more easily and the option of a special permit was available. I told them that the option for a special permit was available if they chose to do it. They've chosen to do it, so that's why we're here now. So I'll turn the discussion over to all of you. So Bob, do you have any questions, comments, thoughts?
Yes, thanks, Mark. And thanks, Brian, for your explanations. The sign itself, aside from the size of it, I think is okay. It's clean, it's legible. And thanks for teaching me about the black and white lighting. I wasn't familiar with that. What about the carpets and flooring? How will they be illuminated, or will they?
Yeah, that's they're also with white LED modules, and so the pill that we call it, which is it's a white plexiglass face that covers and inside of that is white LED modules. So at night, what you would see is just the word carpets and flooring sort of knocked out of the white background.
Okay. And then in the daytime, what would carpets and flooring look like?
Just like the picture, the rendering.
Okay. Yeah, and I think we don't like those typically with signs like that, and that's a small one, should be okay, but still the bright white, we're sometimes concerned about it washing out. So if that could be maybe tinted a little, grayed down just a little, so at night it's not super bright white. That's pretty common for a lot of signs we see. But to the matter at hand, the size, I don't see a compelling reason to be almost 3 times as big as the maximum, especially given the other signs on that building. I just don't see the need to be that big. That's all I have for now, Mark.
Okay, thanks. Steve?
I think Bob just put it well, the way I was thinking. I would like to see how it compares to other signs also. But I guess we can't. I agree that it seems to be out of scale with the other signs, and I'm a little concerned about that.
Okay, Susan?
I have all the same concerns as Steve and Bob. It seems awfully large. That's, I don't have any additional comments.
Okay, Felix?
I am also, I have the same concerns as everyone. I'm just trying to figure out kind of how that, where that 92.25 came about, because I'm just doing the math.
I think if
Because I'm looking at, if you have the dimensions 45 inches by 205 inches,
right,
that brings you to 9,225 square inches divided by 144. That is 64 square feet, not a 64.06 square feet, not 92.25. So where is this 92.25 coming from? That's
Oh,
one
you know,
question.
where it might have been is that we had done so many revisions on this that maybe that sign area was not updated. So in doing the math, you're correct. 205 times 45 equals X, and then divided by 144 would equal the correct square footage.
So that is really 64 square feet, which is
Feet.
still double what, exactly double the maximum allowed.
Right.
But it's not as much of a pill to swallow. How does one question I have that you may not have the answer to is looking at the Geico sign next door. Looking and thinking about the other sign for the what was it, dog wash that we had last month? I forget what it was. It was something.
Yes, it was a pet grooming.
How does that height for the main AJ Rose compared to the existing signage and the proposed signage? And how much is the added wall art, the added rose, which I know is his signature piece because I know his other locations, and having the carpets and flooring, how much is that adding to the square footage there? I just want to know how it compares scale wise.
Sure. Yeah. Well, it's the petals of the rose that certainly increase the square footage when you draw a rectangle around the outermost limits of everything. So you can see that the on the lower part of the drawing there's a dotted red rectangular line that encompasses the area around the letters. And it's that part where the rose is and the petal of the rose that substantially increases the total square footage because of, the shape and the logo and the way that it is. As far as the word AJ Rose and the cap height of the letters ROSE, I'm going to say they're similar to what Geico might have, although Geico's space is smaller. So if Geico maxed out at 32 square feet, that's not so bad because their space is smaller. In this case, we've got certainly a lot more space, and that doesn't even consider, when you look at the front entrance, there's actually two wings to the left. One is back about 10 feet, the other one's back around 25 feet. That it's still an elevation. We didn't consider it when talking about our calculations or whatever. But it's building frontage, that they are occupying. So,
well, that's not how it works, Brian. It works on where the portion of the facade where the sign is located. So do you do not know the height of the letters themselves?
Offhand, I don't know.
Okay, so based on the height of that, Felix, I think that the area of the rows is about 12 square feet. Using that height and proportional of the width.
Yeah,
It's almost it's almost a square.
yeah.
So
I'm
I just did a
moving-
quick calculation. It's about 12 square feet. So again, the issue here is all the other adjacent signage, the one we reviewed last time, the Geico sign, the Panera signs, the signs on the building on the other side of the driveway, all were held to a 32 square foot limit,
Yeah,
regardless of how big these, whether it's 64 or 92.
yeah. So
All right. Anything else, Felix?
that was all. I'm just trying to think of ways that it could be scaled down that doesn't lose its character, but
Well, I saw the
Yeah.
32 square foot sign and I thought it was fine. So it's not,
Okay.
they just need to, I think that the sign is nicely designed. And I think that the carpet and flooring pill, as he called it, lozenge, is a small enough area that I'm not concerned with Bob's question about, is that going to be a bright light
Yeah.
source? I do think that it's a small area of white left after they put the lettering on. So I expect that we'll be okay there.
Okay.
But I too don't see a compelling reason to allow a 64 square foot and a 90 square foot sign on these when none of the other adjacent businesses are that large. I think we've got examples of the other tenants that are in this sort of sign panel, which is larger than the space that, for instance, the Geico sign is, as Brian pointed out. But I think they all work well. This is not a fast-paced traffic area, Brian. There's a lot of traffic here. Everybody's moving pretty slowly. And the monument sign allows sort of a perpendicular view to the people who don't notice this as they're going by. So I'm not inclined to approve anything over 32 square feet.
I agree, Mark.
Don't know what the other members would feel.
I agree with that.
Steve, Susan,
I would agree with that also. It's concerned about scale. Yeah.
I
Felix.
agree.
I mean, my big question is scale on that. If it's the same scale as the other ones,
Right.
but because it's wider because of their trademark rows and that adds some square footage, I'm a little bit more flexible, but not doubling it, not like I think that it needs to stay to the same scale.
Well,
So-
the grooming store had a puppy on it initially. So, I mean, there are other, Panera has some sort of graphic element. So some of the other signs include a non-letter
so
design. So at times when there are designs of signage where an element like that is excluded from the size if it's sort of positioned or designed in such a way that it isn't so integral with the lettering, but this one I think is fairly integral. So as I said, I did see a 32 square foot version and I thought it worked fine. So
and I trust your eye with this, Mark. As the architect, I trust your eye with this. So I'm inclined to say no as well as designed currently.
So because this is a special permit application, I'm not quite sure. We often will approve a special permit with conditions, which is kind of one of the ways we do things to speed the process along for an applicant.
Right.
But I don't want to approve a special permit reducing it to 32 square feet, which is then doesn't require a special permit. But I also, if we reject this, he'll have to come back again with a 32 square foot version. If everybody comfortable with that approach, then that's what we should do. Okay. All right. So I would take a motion to, on the two building signs. We'll do we'll do two votes here, one for the pylon sign. And one for the two building signs. Let's just do a quick look at the pylon sign while we got it. Brian, you illustrate it with this? We basically want them all on the same background color as the Panera sign and the Frank Webb. I think there's been some tint change, but it's a kind of a beige background. You've illustrated it that way. So am I correct in saying that that will be a beige background?
Yeah, in fact, the acrylic piece is already in place. It appears that it's the same acrylic when the sign was made,
Okay,
back when it was made. It looks like Panera might be a shade different, but the acrylic piece for where the AJ Rose goes is existing, and we were just going to put some vinyl letters onto it.
all right, that sounds good. Any other questions on that sign from the board?
No, that looks fine.
Okay. Okay, so I would take a motion to approve the compound sign as submitted. So we were going to have Susan move and I think Felix second, if it's okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't get that memo.
That's okay.
Motion to approve.
Okay, Felix, the second, please.
I second it for the pylon sign.
And come to the vote. Bob Dermody,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes,
Susan,
Yes,
Felix,
Yes,
and the chair approves. So we will approve the pylon sign as submitted. I would take a motion to not approve the special permit applications for the two building signs.
Are they going to be voted on separately because of the difference in size?
No, they're both after the same thing. So they're, if you'd prefer that they each be voted separately, we can do that. So let's do the Highland Avenue sign first.
Trying to wonder, because of the parking lot sign, which is the rear entrance, is considerably larger wall space, if the board would even consider.
I think we've said no to that. The other applicants with similar situations all worked with the 32 square feet. I think we'd like to be that consistent on the parking lot side as well. And technically under the bylaw, the second sign is supposed to be, that's over a parking lot entrance, is supposed to be smaller than the other sign. But we recognize that this building is kind of backwards, so that we've been flexible there a little bit.
I see.
So I would take a motion to not approve the special permit application for the sign on Highland Avenue.
I move the motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, then we come to vote. So if you vote yes, that means we will not approve it. So
I
Bob,
vote yes to not approve.
Steve,
yes, to not approve.
Susan,
Yes,
Felix,
Yes,
and the chair is yes. We come to the sign that he designated rear, but it faces the parking lot at the complex. I would take a motion to not approve the special permit application for that sign.
move the motion forward.
second.
And we vote Bob,
I vote yes to not approve.
Steve,
Yes,
Susan,
Yes,
Felix,
Yes,
and the chair is yes. All right, so Brian, you're free to do this pylon sign, but just given the sort of rules of order circumstances, you're gonna have to reapply with the 32 square foot one, which I know that we did look at, but I can't simply reverse this down because of the special permit application.
Right, so will the board approve tonight a 32 square foot version?
No, we can't. We've got an application for a special permit. We can't.
Okay,
And it's not in that example, and the illustrations of that need to be in
Okay.
the public record before the meeting. We can't do that here.
so if the building department or zoning allows for 32 square feet, do I even need to have design review again?
Yes, you do. You still have to review the sign. For the design. Obviously, we've told you it's a nice design. Your issue was the size. I can't speak for the board, but I mean, you've heard our comments. Most of the comments were directed about the size. So you
Right.
you could have some confidence that you will do well with a properly sized sign. But there's never a guarantee.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Great.
Sorry we can't do it that way, but it just special permit process requires us to kind of go through it this way.
No, I understand. Okay, great, thank you.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
Okay, and don't see anybody here for the Congregational Church, 1154 Great Plain Ave. No, okay. So we'll move on to 32 Wexford Street, Dr. Miola.
Hi, how are you?
Right, so why don't you go ahead and tell us explain to us what your application is?
Sure. A few years back, I purchased Dr. Atkins dental practice, and I put his name on the sign. He has since retired, so we're just removing his name. Everything about the sign is exactly the same, except it's instead of the wood design, it's aluminum. Everything's the same size wise. I don't know what else you want me to include, discuss. What would you? I don't know what else to say.
All right, well, I'll ask you a couple questions. There's an image of the building, and there are 3 signs on it. I assume they are all kind of this same look, if I recall from earlier applications. Which
Mhm.
one of the 3 is yours? The one in the
Atkins Miola.
Pardon me?
It says Atkins Miola Dental Group.
You can't read the signs in that image, so I don't know which one you're
I don't.
replacing.
I don't have the image. And what are you referring to?
It's the one next to MedMinder. It's the one
Right.
right next to it.
You want me to share my screen, Mark?
Yes, thanks, Clay. I
Oh,
don't have.
it's Felix, but
So you see there's
1, 2,
Dr. Miola, there are 3 signs there.
It's the one to right above the blue car.
So it's the right-hand one of the pair.
One on the right. It's the same shade in the background. Everything's duplicate
Okay.
of it. And I just asked the contractor, licensed contractor, to replace it. Well, you know, if you move it,
I just wanted to make sure we knew where it was going, because it was unclear from the imagery which is which. All right, so I'll take to the board. Steve,
Is that, I'm sorry, is it illuminated or is it, I'm not,
No,
familiar with that's those signs.
pardon me?
Is that illuminated behind it? Is it?
No, it's the existing sign?
Yeah,
No, there's 2 lights above it.
okay.
2 little lights that go over it.
externally illuminated, Steve.
Okay. So when you say it's identical, you're talking about in size, though not the information.
Well, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. And we're changing the name. Dr. Atkins has retired. So it's just the same height of the letters. It's all like the same, 3 inches, 5 inches, it's all the same.
Okay.
It's just different name.
Okay, just for clarity, I wanted to make sure I understood that properly. Can you go back to it again? I think it might look a little crowded in that space, a lot of words, and the little circular logo is a little hard to read. I don't know. Let me hear what I'd like to hear what the other members say also. I think that logo is a little hard to read.
Okay. Felix?
So right now, you and Dr. Atkins are dentists, correct?
Yes, but he's retired. He's left the practice.
So what is the skin aesthetics portion of this? And now it's S&S Aesthetics.
I have 3 other offices. They're all the same name, so we're just trying to keep it uniform, but there's no skin aesthetics there, but it's the same name. I have a aesthetic spa in one of my office in Waltham. So we're just trying to keep it uniform. If you want me to put Bayola Dental Group, that's fine. I was trying to keep everything uniform.
No, I'm just wondering about the crowding because I agree with Steve that it seems a little crowded between the logo and all the lettering. It just, once it's put onto the sign, it seems very crowded.
I had a graphic designer do it, so they do these things, so they thought it was fine. I mean, whatever you guys.
So the uppercase letters are 5 inches and the lowercase letters are 3 inches. So it's not a large, we're talking about a 14 square foot sign. So it is, but there is a lot of verbiage in there as we call it when we see these, lots explained. So
that are there that from that picture, I think they have a lot of wordage too, or verbiage too. I think mine's less than some of them. No, actually you can't. There's one to the left, you can't see it. MedMine is left. They're not there anymore. There's I didn't take a picture of the other one far left. There's 2 other. There's another tenant there. That's not in the photo. I thought it was.
I understand. Okay, Bob, do you have any comments?
Yeah, I'm confused about the name of the business. Is it the whole thing, the name, the Smile and Skin Aesthetics Bayola Dental Group? Is that the whole name?
All other 3 offices are the same name, yes. I have 3 other offices with signs. It's all the same. We're just trying to be consistent.
Right. Okay. And do you offer all of those services at this location?
No, don't offer it at that location. People inquire, they go to our this office itself. If you want to have a root canal or dental, any type of surgeries, you go to a different office. We have one main office that has like a surgical suite and does all procedures. So this office, the other 2 offices don't have it. We have 4 offices, 3 don't have the services, but they're referred there.
Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of words. I mean, it's legible on a laptop, I'm looking at the digital image here, but out on the street, I think it could work. I think the S&S aesthetics in the circle is more problematic. But that's almost a low, excuse me?
The design person did that. If you want it gone, I'm not into that stuff either. I just, they're trying to keep everything consistent and all these new graphic things. So if you want it removed, I don't have a problem with that.
Okay.
Well, you guys judge, so I don't.
We're just trying to work with you,
Yep.
Trying to provide some feedback of some concerns because we see a lot of these, and that's kind of our job. So
Sure.
in some ways it helps because otherwise you got black and gray and that's it. So there's that aspect of it. It's just the quality of the not the quality, the script, the font of aesthetics is kind of scribbly. Maybe that's what they're looking for, but if it's to be legible, I don't think it is.
The other that, and I didn't like it either, but I have these young kids that are doing this graphic stuff, and I totally agree with you. I never liked it, but I got this younger crew with me that's trying to make me modern, so I follow.
Okay,
You gotta, all right.
good try.
Yeah, so that's where I am, Mark. It's
Okay.
not I think it can work. But it's just, it is what it is.
Okay, Susan?
Does somebody help me understand in relation to the MedMinder sign? Like, somebody mentioned that the lowercase letters are 3" and the uppercase letters are 8. Is that what you said?
5. It's on the application under the description of the sign.
Do we have any idea, like the large M on MedFinder? What?
Well, it's probably about 12, given that the signs are the same size,
But the MedMinder is gone according to,
and
Got
that's not there.
Yeah.
so.
The vacant left, it's a vacant, unit right now.
Yeah,
I
this building owner came in and kind of did these original set as a package together. So they had that consistent look with the black frame and the gray background, which I thought worked pretty well, even with varied lettering on it. It sort of set up a backdrop for the various signage. So, you know, visually, he's going to have a volume of lettering group similar to what we're looking at with the MedMinder. It's just 2 lines of type instead of the single.
I guess I agree with everyone else that it's, I mean, I think the sign is nice, and I guess to someone else's point, the logo says S&S Aesthetics. Is that the name of your company?
It's the whole thing. Smile and Skin Aesthetics, Mayola Dental Group. It's and I guess the S and the S means the smile and the skin.
It's a graphic element, which I think we see occasionally, but it
Yeah,
does
I
crowd things. Go ahead,
feel
Susan, I'm
it's
sorry.
probably too small, although it is right in front of the cars, so maybe you are a little closer than you would be at the street. I could go either way, but I think everyone else is correct. It's probably too small to really be helpful.
Okay, well,
If
this location is back in the Wexford Street area. I think most of us have been in there at some point. It's basically buildings and paving wall to wall. So the pace of traffic here is not very high. I don't believe. I've never been in there and seen anybody driving very fast, because you can't tell where a parking lot ends and a parking space and the road start. So that does tend to slow people down. So the smaller size on this, while it's a lot of writing, I think probably would work. I'm given that sort of location where this is, I'm okay with letting him use the full name, even though the services aren't offered there, because it is a group. The company that's what the company is. Whether they, when you want the aesthetics, they send you to a different office. I don't mind. I think some consistency for them seems reasonable. But with the graphic add-on, it does seem to really squish everything. So I'd wonder if we ask that be removed and we recenter the rest of the lettering, if that's something the board is comfortable with.
I'm very comfortable with that, because it's either redundant or confusing to me, that
Okay.
logo. So I would go along with what you're saying.
Fine with me. I totally agree.
Yeah, I'm okay with that, Mark.
I'm fine with that.
And Felix has his hand up.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm fine with that too. I mean, I'm okay-ish with the logo as well, because one other thing this has going for it is it's not an illuminated sign. So
Yeah.
that means at night you're not going to see it anyway. But that being said, if you get rid of the logo, someone's headlights are more likely to see it at night, since it's not illuminated, than when it's more squished with the logo. So I'm in favor of removing the logo and just approving it once it's recentered.
Okay. It will be illuminated. There are those overhead, those are those gooseneck lights. So there's
Oh,
some
I forgot about
light
that.
on it, but it's like I agree, it's not internally illuminated, which is a different kind of animal altogether.
Exactly.
Okay, so I would take a motion to approve the sign with the conditions that the S&S Aesthetics logo be removed and the rest of the lettering be recentered left to right.
I move the motion forward.
I'll second.
All right, and we vote, Bob,
Yes, affirmative.
Steve,
Yes,
Susan,
Yes,
Felix,
Yes.
and the chair approves. All right,
Can you stop?
Thanks,
screening,
Dr. Miola.
Felix?
thanks for your working with us.
So I'd like to thank you all, so I go back to my staff and tell them me, the old guy, was right. So I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. So do I have to appear again?
No, we will, we have a situation where we can approve it with conditions, so we will send you an approval that notes these conditions.
Thank
And then
you.
you can move forward with that with your sign company and the building permit application. A copy of this will be on file with the building department too.
Thank you very much.
Okay, good night.
All set? Okay, bye-bye. How do we do this?
Okay. And next item on the agenda is the minutes of the October 2nd, 2023 meeting. So are there any questions or comments on those minutes? Thanks for doing those, Bob.
No problem. Elisa was a big help. And Kristen.
Yeah. Take a motion to approve the minutes.
move the motion.
Second.
Okay. And we vote Bob,
Yes.
Steve,
yes,
Susan,
Yes,
Felix,
Yes.
and I was not there, so I will abstain.
And where exactly were you, Mark?
I was in a nice, beautiful part of France.
Yeah, we're still on recording, so you don't have to elaborate.
It was lovely.
It's good to have our leader back.
Thank you. So I would take a motion to adjourn.
move the motion.
Second.
And we vote Bob,
Yes.
Steve,
yes.
Susan,
Yes.
Felix,
Yes.
and I vote yes. So thanks, everyone. So we're all set, Clay. Thank you.